afternoon, folks. Well, Michael, thanks for the opportunity to speak. Great crowd here, so if you're either interested in whatever to speak or you're interested in a faculty handbook amendment, and we will get to that, so we'll be in suspense for a little while, probably for about 25, 30 minutes. I think this is a little different, at least in recent times, for Auburn to have the president address this larger group as to the future of the university going forward. So I appreciate everybody's time in being here today to listen to what I have to say. There'll be a lot of things I don't address in the 30 minutes or so, but within the limits of time, I'm going to stay and try and field some questions. So if there's specific things you want me to address or you want to mine down in more detail on some things, I'll do my best to answer those questions in keeping with what I think has been my style the last 18 months. I'll try and be as forthright in addressing questions as I can. Fortunately, too, there's a lot of other administrators here. If something gets really granular, there'll be an opportunity, so this is a forewarning for some folks that I might call on them for help. I want to thank Senate leadership, the inclusive group that was just introduced, for their leadership and their commitment to the university. As I stand here after 18 months and think about our faculty, students, and our mission going forward, your leadership is integral to moving forward. So thank you on behalf of everyone at Sanford Hall. To our faculty leaders here today, I appreciate you allowing me to use your time to talk about the state of the university. You're all busy. You're incredibly busy. So I appreciate your time and your interest. The faculty in general are really the core of our land-grant mission, or the core of this university. The faculty's success is Auburn's success, and your efforts have helped get us where we are today. So, extension of that is where we're going to go next is going to rely so heavily upon you. I want to thank the students and staff that are here, members of the community that are with us. Each one of you is a valued component of this university. Your hard work and talent supports us in every endeavor I'm going to talk about today. So special thanks to you. Now, it is an honor and a privilege for me to stand in front of this many members of the Auburn family and talk about the university and the collective excellence of this university. I can stand here after 18 months of studying this university and say, I don't think our university's ever been stronger. The state of the university, though, is probably not an accurate description of what I'm going to talk about. What I'm really going to talk about is the future of the university, and I think that's what you're interested in hearing about. I think the university's on the move. I think it's on the move in a good, positive direction. And so what I want to discuss is how we're going to maintain that momentum, how we're going to maximize that momentum, and really accomplish greater things over the next few years. Now, I mentioned 18 months. Janet and I have been here for 18 months now, long enough to see many of the cultural aspects of this university, and long enough to see the signs of progress that are going across the university. It may not always seem like it to you in a big complex organization like this, but I think things are moving at a quicker pace. I think there is a greater sense of urgency on campus, and I think it's due to a renewed, shared commitment to our mission, and that's really, really good. Whether it's a doubling down our instruction mission, whether it's an enhancement of our research and scholarship mission, we are really working hard to develop practical solutions to credible problems in society, and I'm really, really pleased to see it. Now, back in March, to back up for a little bit, I articulated a vision for the university. It was an ambitious vision. Most of you heard it, and it one that required us to strengthen our commitment to better serving this state, which is a worthwhile endeavor. We indicated we had a goal for Auburn to become a truly world-class academic, research, and service university in the spirit of our land-grant heritage. And we wanted to become an undisputed go-to destination for the best students, the best faculty, the best staff, the best development partners that we could find, the ones that are really driven to make meaningful impacts, whether it's here or when they leave here. And I'm not changing from that overall vision. What we're going to do is get a little bit deeper down into it. So as a university, we've set our sights on something greater. I think we're entering this whole ambitious agenda from a position of strength. The university comes from a period of long, successful leadership under Dr. Gouge. I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge what he had done for many, many years to get us to this point. But now we need to capture momentum going forward, and I hope to capture it at a faster pace and get more things accomplished. So I want to back up for just a little bit. I think everybody in academia is a little bit of a student of history. And if we reflect on the land grant history, I do this not so much to educate you, but so you know my perspective on this. And when I think about Justin Morrill, who was a congressman, later a senator from Vermont, pushing forward the legislation for this new approach to education, new approach to the government's role in education, it was a pretty radical idea at the time, to take education and make it not just for the privileged few, but to make it for others. As a son of a blacksmith, he knew the value of practical education, and he knew it was going to take a different approach to really fuel that was then modern economy. Surely we broadened our focus beyond agriculture, but past the mechanical arts. But the fundamental idea of educating more and more students, giving more access to a high quality, affordable education, to build economic opportunity society, that part really hasn't changed since 1862. So you need to know, as president, I put a lot of value on our educational mission, I put a lot of value on our economic development mission, I put a tremendous amount of value of serving the citizens as an institution. Way back then, students were a central part of the mission. You know, we've got the extension, outreach mission, the research mission, but our academic mission, our student mission, was first and foremost. And I think it still is. So that's where I really want to start today, is with the students. For us to truly fulfill our mission going forward, we've got to expand our reach. We've got to expand our student base. It's going to be how we maximize our momentum going forward. Our students are really our best ambassadors. They're the people that go out, contribute to society, and make a true difference in the world. They serve the greater good, and as many faculty and staff are here, they don't compare in numbers to the graduates we send forth. So I want to give you a couple of quick facts about the student body as we start this year. Enrollment reached 30,440, so it's the largest student body Auburn's ever had. So we use that as a base. That's really due to strong retention rates and the fact that even more of our own employees are pursuing Auburn education. We didn't let in more kids this year, as some people think. We did this growth through things we should be proud of, like retention and success. We didn't let in more students, but we let in the most academically prepared group of students we've ever let in terms of our ACT scores going up, grade point averages going up. So it's commendable. We have a tremendous student body. 60% of our students were from Alabama, and as you've heard me say, and I like to say, we educate more people from Alabama than any university in the world, and that remains true. And, about 12% of our freshmen and 32% of our transfer students are first-generation college students. And that presents a challenge for all of us, but it's a good challenge to have. The reason we were able to have such a select student body this year is our applications are up 21% this year alone. So you need to know that the interest in an Auburn education remains very high, perhaps the highest it's ever been. But those numbers don't really tell the story, and they don't really talk about the opportunities that are out there, the opportunities we need to seize. As a land-grant university, we can seize the opportunity to reach more students in our state, something we haven't done as well as we could have. We can make a bigger impact here at home. So what opportunities am I talking about? And before I really get to that, I want to give you a little context here. So you have to understand that from my management style, my leadership perspective, I think better decisions are made when we have more voices and perspectives being heard. And we need to prepare students to be citizens of the world. And this is going to require an education that mimics the world. We need a more diverse student body, and diversity and inclusion should not just be a goal, which sounds fine as a goal, but rather it should be considered essential here at Auburn. And I don't think we can have our students be fully successful, the university be fully successful, unless it's an essential value of this institution. So a couple more things on perspective till I get to the main point on this. Demographers say we're only 5 to 6 years away from a noticeable decline in high school graduates applying for admission. We're already seeing it in the Midwest. We'll see it in the Southeast, we think, in 5 to 6 years. So as we think about what size we should be and how do we best serve our students, we're going to have to be very strategic and mindful as to how we recruit students. So one thing I think we're going to have to do, and I'm going to put a priority on, is we need to seize more opportunities with dual enrollment, with transfer students, and non-traditional students. We can't do that in our current form, so we're going to overhaul our student recruitment efforts in every way you can think of, including the way we market Auburn to young folks nowadays. So we're being much more intentional, and we'll continue to be much more intentional on how we create academic opportunities. We want to make sure that we reach out to a broader base and we seem like the place a larger group of students want to come. This includes more partnerships with two-year schools, expanding our online programs, and as we continue to recruit that special caliber student for Auburn, we can't do that the way we're doing it right now and still be successful. So you need to know that will be a major priority going forward. An opportunity to gain diverse perspectives and better serve the state is right in front of us. And this gets me back to my point about what we need to do to really give our students the best experience they need. The truth of the matter is African American enrollment here is stagnant. We've made no real improvements in that area. So our offices of diversity and inclusion have been charged and have started strategically developing and implementing programs to strengthen the pipeline for both Alabama kids and non-resident kids. So we're going to have a whole new push in recruitment-based efforts to make this place where a bigger segment of the population looks and wants to go. And we're talking about a lot of first-generation students. One of the ways we need to do that is to increase access for Pell-eligible and first-generation students. One of the big barriers to making this place more welcoming, not just accessible, but affordable to a bigger part of our population is to deal with the financial aspects. And so we're going to make a major effort to really make this place truly accessible. And we have to do that by making it affordable, by making some changes in the way we do things. Now, related to that, as we look at our campus and what it might look like in the future, our Critical Conversation series has helped a lot. And it's sparked some important dialogues here on campus. I'm really, really proud of that. But we can't let our efforts stop when the speakers leave campus. We've got to seize all our opportunities to be welcoming and have a diverse student body. And so you'll see some different approaches to financial aid, recruiting materials, as we move into this next era of recruiting students with a diminishing high school population. The fact of the matter is the student experience is our crown jewel. It's what we do best. And we want to make sure that this unparalleled high-quality student experience is there for people going forward, and it's there for more people going forward. Year after year, we hear students are really happy after their first year that they came to Auburn, and just as exciting is they're just as excited after they graduate that they came to Auburn. We need to make sure that stays at the forefront as we start these efforts anew. With regard to students, though, we are facing challenges, and this will result in some actionable items. We cannot accommodate every freshman that comes to this campus that wants to live on campus. I think that's a problem. Dr. Woodard, who oversees student affairs, thinks that's a problem. And his team has come up with an initial plan, a great option to consider how we deal with that. So we're going to look very quickly, we're looking right now at potentially replacing the entire hill with new residences in the northwest part of campus. This is a neat plan that would give us about replace more than 1,500 beds. We would also gain the ability to house all our freshmen that want to live on campus. So you need to know this is an action item going forward with some haste. If this gets approved, maybe tweaked, but if it gets approved, the other interesting aspect of this is all the land currently occupied by the Hill would become available for academic expansion in the future, something we don't have right now, a way to really expand in the central part of campus where we really need programs. So this is a neat plan. Bobby and his team ought to be commended for this. Where is Bobby? Yeah, thanks, Bobby. We'll continue to develop this, but we need leaders like that thinking about how we can do things. So this will be one of our primary focus. On probably maybe not as exciting note, but one that causes angst on a regular basis. I do want to mention another quick action item, and that's parking. It seems like it's a hot topic everywhere I go. I've heard it from Senate leadership, I've heard it in grocery stores, I hear it everywhere I go. I might hear about parking as much as I hear about athletics. The demand for parking for faculty, staff, students is an all-time high. With the expansion we've done in campus, spaces are limited, availability is difficult. So I've tasked Chief Operating Officer, it's always good to put a general in charge, Ron Burgess, to commission a study and not just do a study. I'm not big on studies without actionable items. I don't want to waste Ron's time. He doesn't want to waste his time. But we're commissioning a study that's actually going to produce actionable items to help us solve this parking thing long term. For the first time in a long time, you'll see significant parking, and you're seeing some of it go up right now next to the hotel. So Ron, thanks for doing this for us. It's probably not the most fun job. But I want to talk a little bit about safety. We've had issues on campus and near campus that have caused us some real anxiety, and they should. They've impacted our student safety, and that's really my job and all of our job is to keep our students safe. So we're actively addressing a number of safety concerns, and you need to realize that. So we've now equipped every Tiger Transit bus with cameras, with video feeds that are live. We've recently recruited former FBI Supervisory Special Agent Kelvin King to take over our campus safety efforts. It adds a whole level of training and expertise we've not seen before. So I'm not going to say much on that. You can ask me about things like that after the session if you want, but I want you to know that safety is on our mind and it is a focus, and we're actually doing stuff to move it forward. Some other things. You've heard me talk about efficiencies and aspirational goals. So I want to talk now, if we're going to really push the momentum going forward and continue to set truly aspirational goals and identify ways to streamline our operations, we need to build an operational model that really advances student success. These efforts are critical to providing the students with the best experience possible in higher ed. So you are seeing changes in the way we're organized, and these changes are for good reasons. So to help accomplish these goals and make sure that student experience stays where we want it to be or gets better, we've restructured the entire Division of Student Affairs. We recently moved to a more holistic model for the student body to be part of. The students endorsed this approach very enthusiastically. So now we've transitioned housing, career services, academic support, all to student affairs. So this would be a model that was similar to what Auburn used many years ago, with maybe even a few more units. So now from Camp Oriole to graduation to getting their first job, the students will all get their services through one integrated division, surrounded by people that are completely invested in student success and with a number of tools designed for student success. You'll see some more tweaking in that redivision or realignment of divisions, but for the most part, that's going into effect as we're here. Now I want to leave students and talk about faculty for a little while. The truth is, faculty are fundamental to our success. They're fundamental to student success. They're fundamental to everything we do on campus. They're the core of the land-grant mission. The faculty drive our innovation, whether it's through instruction, research, or the integrated approach to instruction and research. The students come here and we brag on this student experience because of the faculty. It's the faculty that really drive all of this. So we have an obligation as administrators to recruit and retain the very best faculty members we can. We need to make this the best faculty in academia. And so we take that charge, the provost and I, very, very seriously. It's essential, I think, that top administration shows the faculty how much they're valued. Not the ones that just joined, but also the ones that have been here for decades. We need to acknowledge not just the ones who are recruiting, but the people that have been serving this institution for a long, long time. I'm always looking for ways through shared governance that we can do this better. And that's one reason I try and come to most of the Senate meetings. I need input if we're going to get this right, and we're going to make sure this is a place where top faculty want to come and want to stay. So to that end, I've started some new things. This semester I began hosting informal lunches with faculty. I've asked deans and chairs to provide names of faculty. So when I have lunch, there's a faculty member from every college on campus. There's no agenda. They come from all ranks, all disciplines. It's totally unstructured dialogue. I think that surprised some of the people that came. But this is a way I can get input on faculty initiatives. It's incredibly helpful for me to get firsthand data from faculty on what's in front of you right now. What are your concerns? What are the good things? What do you want more of? What do you want less of? You know, it's been a good 10 years since I've sat in your chairs. And I try to keep as current as I can. But these lunches are one way they're really helpful. So when you get an opportunity to come based on all the complexity of your schedule, please do. Because I'm looking forward to continuing this new tradition. It's really, really helpful for me. And it's a great way for faculty to advance their ideas without any filters all the way to the president. I try and take notes, and I try and turn the actionable items into something as quickly as I can. Now, related to this whole faculty situation, we're hiring 500 faculty, 500 tenure-track faculty, plus additional faculty. This is a huge hiring push. Lots of interviews, lots of startups, lots of space. But we're going to add research-active faculty that will enhance our scholarship, will really move this university forward. Some cases we'll be hiring full-time teaching faculty to serve our students. We're going to hire in disciplines where we have needs, where demand is strong. We're going to slice this faculty hiring a few different ways. So I want to make sure that I dispel of the rumor that all of these people will just be in the labs, for example. All areas of the university, all areas of scholarship will be touched, and we'll also put emphasis where we need great faculty on the teaching side. This will not diminish the great student experience here. In fact, I think it will foster even greater student experience. And that is something the provost and I are really sensitive to and we're paying attention to. So I want to make sure you hear that. Now we're well on our way to having the first 100 on board by the end of the semester. So those of you that might have been wondering, is stuff happening? Yes, it's happening. So the first 20% should be on board by the end of the semester, which is really exciting. But as we try and recruit the best faculty to come here, I don't think it's any secret to most of you that many of these prospective faculty have spouses and partners with independent careers, sometimes in academia, sometimes outside academia. To make us more attractive to prospective faculty members, I'm really pleased to announce that we're developing a true dual career services program to assist partners and spouses in gaining positions here in the Auburn community or at Auburn. This is going to place spouses and partners either here or with partners in the area. They'll help build new networks of contacts. It'll help us not only recruit but retain dual career couples. We've already got agreements in place with some of our local partners, and I'm pretty excited, and I'm about to add another local partner to that coalition, and we'll be announcing these partners and agreements real soon. But a number of you have brought this up with me, and this is one example where faculty have come directly to me. The provost and I have discussed this, and we've worked with Taffy and others to make this a reality. So hopefully you'll be pleased when this all rolls out here in the very, very near future. Another thing I heard at the lunch, or one of the lunches, was about the value we place on faculty engagement, which some faculty felt is too limited. And I think they're probably right. We should fully enable you to share your expertise with the community, and just as importantly, reward you for doing so. So we're trying and elevate this engagement, this outreach in the faculty portfolio as we go forward. Now this will largely be faculty driven. It'll circle around and we'll push the faculty to look at this from a faculty perspective. But we want to let the faculty seize every opportunity to fully engage and transfer their knowledge and make us good citizens in the community and the state. Now as a land-grant university, a research university, we have a charge to really pursue groundbreaking discoveries that hold great promise for basically prospering the human condition. One of the best things I could do here in my time will be to help grow research and scholarship. It's the spark behind all world-renowned land-grant universities. So not only will Auburn benefit reputationally, but more importantly, society will benefit if we can really drive research and scholarship forward, and the economy of this state will go forward at the same time. There's so many reasons to do this. So right now, as I look at it, our scholars are working not only on campus, they're working across the globe. We've got faculty working in East Alabama, and we've got faculty working in East Africa, which is really pretty darn exciting. We're going where the tough problems exist, and those are the problems we need to be solving if we're going to be a great university. I think we can do this. We're going to have to work across disciplines, across cultures, across continents, but we can define, refine knowledge, find new knowledge, and really make huge impacts. And we're going to put a lot of efforts and a lot of resources behind that. To realize our full potential as a land grant, we've got to drive innovation and discovery. We've got to drive it at a higher level than we've ever done before. It's ambitious. It's going to cost a lot of resources. We understand that. When people tell me that it's going to cost startups, it's going to cost space, we understand that, and the provost and I are fully prepared for that endeavor. Our emphasis on research, though, will bear in mind that we wanted to use it also to augment classroom teaching experience. Again, I'll make the point, this should not diminish the student experience, it should actually enhance it. So if you think of some of the things we've done lately, like the PAIR initiative, where we put $5 million in seed money to fund 11 interdisciplinary research programs on campus, it created a lot of enthusiasm, it created a lot of good science, a lot of good scholarship, and that's going to eventually translate into a lot of good things and go back to the classroom. We brought on 25 top-tier PhD students this fall through a new presidential initiative. Over the next few years, that's going to grow to 99 highly recruited, highly capable PhD students who help us grow our programs and add impact in our research. So I think you'll see more and more of these programs. We're on the move, we're going to be ambitious, and we're going to take innovative scholarship to a new level here. To do all this, I'll go back and say, like the third time, we must continue to invest in our research and scholarship. And this is going to drive some points I'm about to make about budgets. Our advancements are going to grow our reputation, sustain further funding, help us recruit better faculty, help us retain the great faculty we have. This desire to discover is also going to lead us to be a Carnegie One institution, something Auburn should be, can be, in some ways already is, but we're going to make sure we actually have that designation. So as we think about today's world and how fast it's moving and how we're going to keep pace with that, we can't do it alone. We have to develop more and better and deeper relationships with our partners, especially private partners in industry. We've got to look for and seize every opportunity to leverage what we have. We don't have all the resources. We're fortunate that we're not as resource challenged as some schools, but we don't have all the resources. We've got to dial in our partnerships with industry to a whole new level, folks. We can't address many of society's big problems alone. And even if we have the cool ideas, we're not really good at the implementation or making widgets, and we probably shouldn't be. We've got partners that can actually help our research see fruition and make a difference in people's lives. And this will also create jobs and keep jobs here. So we need to attract new funding through our partnerships. We need to bring new industries to the state. It'll help our reputation. It'll fund our research. And it'll increase our impact. But the reality is we've been not as partner friendly as we should be. We're too complicated. We don't have an easy front door to industry. We have about 10 back doors. So we're going to work hard to streamline, and this has already started, and we made a lot of progress, and I give credit to those on campus. We're going to streamline ourselves. We want to make ourselves the best partnership university there is, so people are lining up to work with Auburn as opposed to other folks. An example or two of that it's working, because when you see these things and you wonder, are they really doing anything? I'm going to give you a couple examples to show you yes. We have a recent partnership we formed with Boeing to fund interns. It's unlike any internship partnership we've ever done. Boeing gave us the money in terms of a grant rather than employing these kids as their interns. So we put them at the Huntsville Research Center. We got the grant money. We paid them. Those students could work up at Huntsville when the summer ended. They could come back to campus and continue to work in those internships. So they got the hands-on learning they needed. They got the detailed partnership with an outside partner. They got to look at career opportunities, and we got the money directly to us. And that shows a lot of trust in Auburn by Boeing, and that's the way we need to start doing more and more of these partnerships. We've got a great new partnership with NASA, 3D technology, which is pretty exciting. When we send men back to the moon, Auburn will have an integral role in that with this partnership with NASA. Somebody I hope have seen the Delta partnership. We're going to dedicate a Delta building tomorrow, I guess Friday. We're only one of 8 universities in the country Delta did this with. And I'm going to go off script a little bit. More and more big companies are limiting their partnerships, and we're hearing that all over. And so here's an example where Delta is going from many partners to just 8. Now we're fortunate to be one, and this pilot career path program is where each student will be matched with a Delta pilot as a mentor. So they'll go through the program here at Auburn, they'll have a mentor, they'll have a defined path, an accelerated path to being a Delta pilot, and they'll have a great job when they're done. But if we weren't willing to be flexible and work with our partners in new and different ways, we wouldn't be one of those 8. So I still need ideas. The new VPR will need ideas. We need ideas on how to even be a better partnership university. So bring those ideas to us. We recognize that not all segments need the same thing in partnerships. I also want to say, one of the key things to doing this partnership thing right is to add value to our partners. Too many universities, and to some extent us, in the past haven't been sensitive enough to our partners. We need to make sure that we add value back to our partners if we're going to really grow partnerships and be successful in these endeavors. So we're going to increase our role, expand our role as a partnership university. As an example, you've heard these other examples, Delta and Boeing, the NASA example, but there's probably no better example than our research park right now. It's got a heightened sense of excitement, a heightened sense of urgency, more interest than ever before. We'll be able to cooperate with a broader range of organizations than ever before. We've made some bold, ambitious bids to bring partners in there recently, but this will give partners easy access to our students, to our faculty. You give our faculty easy access to our partners. So you're going to see an incredible push at the research park. We're working with the city to create an arts and innovation district to differentiate our park, where you'll see a performing arts center, an art museum, other amenities coupled in. So we'll have our scientists and engineers in the same proximity as our most creative minds. And I hope that will really attract people in a way where we're so different than everybody else. I'd be remiss, though, if I didn't talk about our probably most important partner, and that's the citizenship of the state of Alabama. We get to them through outreach and extension, and we should all be proud of that. We talk about front doors to the university, but outreach and extension are really our biggest and best front doors to this university. They distribute our innovation. When we do science and leave it on the shelf, in some ways we haven't done much. We needed to go out and make a difference in people's lives. If you think about what we're doing in extension right now and the way the world is changing, typical example, many of our ag students don't come from ag backgrounds anymore, and many farmers now are first-generation farmers. Extension saw this before other states' extension services saw it, and put in a free farming basics course for new farmers, so we can grow that ag side of the community. And it sounds simple when you hear it from me, but it was a revolutionary idea, and I commend Extension for kind of a groundbreaking approach on these things. I'll also say Extension still is relevant. It's very nimble, it's very responsive, and it's very sensitive to what's needed. We just saw Hurricane Michael rip through the Florida Panhandle and the Wiregrass area of our state. Extension joined forces with our researchers, just the way it should be, and immediately went about assessing over $200 million in damage, over $300 million in agricultural losses, made information available online, lots of guidance on safety, economics. We will continue to invest in extension and outreach because it makes such a difference. For those of you that think of the traditional ag extension, it's there. But sometimes we overlook outreach here, and we shouldn't. Dr. Cook's work and his team's work is hugely critical. They reach over 20,000 people in this state a year through our outreach efforts, whether it's through traditional classroom type programs, college readiness, school partnerships, many, many different ways. I want to make sure as we grow our scholarship and grow our national reputation, we don't lose the student experience, nor do we lose our willingness, ability, and capability to serve the state and the citizens of the state. So when you look and see something, we've got a great interdisciplinary team working on obesity, which is a problem faced by about a third of our state. That comes out of outreach. You look at our rural studio program. We have a new program with Fannie Mae for the 20K initiative to look at affordable housing. Outreach has a huge role there. That's not going to be diminished as we move towards research. I'm not asking you to do more with less. We're going to do more with more because we're going to raise resources to do this. We're going to stay committed to improving the quality of this state, the quality of life of this state, and improving the talent in this state. So I said we're going to do this more with more. So you probably questioned that, but you should be. But, you know, we recently completed a tremendously successful campaign. We raised over $1.2 billion. Now I say we, really you folks did, because I was only here for the last 18 months. But that is unprecedented in the history of this university. It's unprecedented in the history of this state for a university to raise that much money. But our efforts aren't done. As a matter of fact, they're gaining momentum in some ways. Our donors have seen the incredible impact because this is Auburn's campaign. They know what their monies can do, and they know that they can make a difference. So I've been traveling to donors throughout the state, throughout the region, even throughout the nation, to demonstrate the impact of their gifts and others' gifts on our programs here. And we're generating a lot of excitement again, even at the end of a big campaign. The excitement and enthusiasm for Auburn is there. It's really inspiring when you go and meet with people that are willing to help us in this way. We can't be successful without it, but the neat thing is we can be way more successful with it. So in the last few weeks, I was with Jane Parker. We were in Birmingham, we were in Washington, D.C., we were in Huntsville, where there are high concentrations of donors. The Auburn message was very well received. We laid out a vision and a plan for them, for Auburn, and I'm really, really excited about the conversations that are going on, the opportunities to generate funds for what you folks do and what you need. This is great. Now, in addition to the fortune we have with great, generous donors, we're also fortunate now to have the backing and support of our state. I know there were years here when things were pretty lean and there were a lot of cuts. But we had an incredibly good and successful legislative session in Montgomery this year, which took a lot of hard work, but it's making a long-term difference in our budgets. Our alumni are going to represent us really well in Montgomery going forward, and I'm really proud to count the governor and lieutenant governor as Auburn alums. I think it's the first time it's happened in the state, isn't it, CJ? So that's pretty cool. So we're seeing probably more interest and passion in our success than ever before. But if I look at the donors' money, the state's money, all the money that we get in, we've got to be more efficient, we've got to be more nimble, we've got to think about our decisions, we need to ask the right questions. The big questions to ask is, what is the right thing to do for Auburn, and what's the right thing to do for the state of Alabama? So on our big decisions, we're going to ask those things. And when we're going to spend other people's money, we're going to ask those things. So that leads us to how are we going to spend and allocate our money. We've operated for a number of years here in basically an unconstrained budget model, which is not really a good, responsible way to budget, folks. The model was developed and described and supported operations really at a static time in Auburn's history. Well, if you think back when the model was conceived and formed versus where we're at now, and more importantly, where we're going to go, it's really not the right model for the future. Competition for resources is going to continue to rise. We're going to lay out new priorities for the university through the strategic plan. So we have to think about how we allocate our money. Now, units this year still receive more money this year than they have in previous years, so don't be alarmed. But we don't live in an unconstrained world, and we're going to have to modernize our budget process if we want to achieve our goals of elevating research, fostering more discovery, improving the student experience. So moving forward, and this is the first time maybe some of you have ever seen this, but most of you have not seen this in a long, long time, we'll be issuing budget development guidelines as we go into fiscal years. They'll be created with a unified goal with planning, analysis, strategic prioritization, which is a little different than what we've done in a long time, and a real emphasis on stewardship of all our resources, regardless where they come from. And this will all be aligned and developed in conjunction with the strategic plan. So if you're not invested in this strategic plan, you should be, because that's where the money will go. For these strategic plan items to be priorities, the money has to follow them or they won't be priorities, and the two will be linked together going forward. This process, though, is going to be a lot more inclusive, a lot more transparent. Everybody will see the priorities, see where the funding's going, see what it takes to get funding, and I think in the long run, people will be pleased with this process. Now, to that end, we've done something else that's a little different. We are now going to ask how we can become more efficient. So we're asking our central units to identify 5% of their budget that could be streamlined. And I don't want you to look at this as a potential cut. What I want you to look at this as an opportunity to think strategically where you really want to put your money. If you get good ideas, if your faculty, your staff get good ideas, how are you going to fund them? So you need to be thinking, what would you reallocate for a really, really good idea? How would you free up resources for a new idea? This is an exercise we ought to take very, very seriously. Now, to that end, I'm going to talk about another way to improve our efficiency, and it's an easy way, and one that I want everybody to really pay attention to, because this is a big deal for me. We're all on the same team, folks, and we need to be working as a team. We've got way too many silos on this campus, and we also have sometimes a lack of communication and sometimes a lack of collaboration. I want people here to be collaborators, not competitors. We cannot tolerate the latter. So we need a culture of facilitation here, folks. We need people who find solutions, who find answers, who answer their colleagues by saying, let me see how we can do that. I'm no longer going to accept no as an answer. And that needs to go through the entire campus. We really need to work collaboratively as a team for Auburn and make sure that message goes far and wide. This is an easy way to gain efficiency and gain success. I've encouraged faculty and staff to come to me with problems where they feel like they're siloed or not getting help. And I'm glad to help solve those on a one-on-one, one-off basis. But I look forward to the day when I don't get any of those, you know, when we're running in a true collaborative fashion, helping each other. So make no mistake, everyone in senior administration is paying attention to this. We really, really want to work together as a team and facilitate things. The more efficient we become, the more streamlined we function, the more resources are going to be available. I think Brian edited out of my remarks, but I was going to say, so I'm still going to say it, Brian. We don't have any programs in Sanford Hall. The more resources we can accumulate through efficiency, streamlining, they go back to the faculty, they go back to the students, they're repurposed for you. Ron and I and Bill don't need money in Sanford Hall. So don't look at this as a negative. This is a positive. The more efficient we can be, the more we can work together, the more we can find solutions, the more resources you folks have, because they're all going to go right back out. And I'm committed to that. So this brings me to kind of towards the end, our strategy for the future, and how do we become the best university we can be. We need our motion to go forward, we need to go forward fast, and we need it to be directed. It can't just be random. So we've got two great faculty members, Beth Gertall and Bruce Tatterchuck from Ag and Engineering respectively, who've been asked and charged with developing a strategic plan for this university. I got a little pushback when we started this to put faculty in charge, but I've been rewarded by a great strategic planning process led by the faculty in an incredibly inclusive process. The strategic planning committee they formed has been great. There's been incredible leadership. There have been thousands, well, I shouldn't say thousands, hundreds of people engaged in this process. And we're well on our way to setting up some goals and values to move this university forward. So where we're at now, we're at the in-depth situational analysis of all the data. So I think we had 14 listening sessions across the state, numerous ones on campus. We had at least one out of state. We've looked at all kinds of scenario planning. They've interviewed all the trustees individually. They've interviewed senior leadership. They've interviewed a number of people. They've got input from students, faculty, staff, alums. We're trying to figure out how we shape Auburn to be who we want to be, what we want to be 10, 20 years from now. This is critical. This is where our priorities are going to come from, folks, and our budget's going to align with the priorities. So over the next few months, the drafts will start coming out, and we'll put meat on the bones. When these big buckets are done in February and we know what our overall goals are, I will task all the senior administrators to put metrics behind these goals so know exactly what we have to do, how to hold ourselves accountable, and how the institution will really achieve the stature and impact we want to have. So this will be a living document, it'll be an action plan, and it'll have metrics behind it. So again, it's not just a plan that goes on the shelf. Every year when we go through budget planning, budget allocation, resource allocation, this plan will be front and center in front of you. It'll be a pledge that we're going to live by our Auburn values, our traditions, but go forward with a new set of priorities. As we go forward in this, I expect everybody to really focus on their land-grant mission and think about education, extension, outreach, and our research and scholarship. We need this sense of urgency to continue. We need a fresh set of eyes. I need faculty at lunches, staff, wherever they meet me, to give us ideas, give us feedback. This is a shared governance project in every shape of the words, and I expect it, and I hope you'll get that from every single member of the senior leadership team. You know, this is going to take a lot of time, it's going to take a lot of energy, it's going to take a lot of investment, it's going to take a lot of passion, it's going to take some imagination. We have a lot of good ideas in Sanford Hall. We have a lot of smart people in Sanford Hall, but we don't have all the good ideas, and we certainly don't have all the smart people. So we need you folks to speak up and give us input. If we're going to define what a forward-thinking, life-enhancing land-grant university is, and the picture next to that is Auburn, I need everybody to pull together. So with that, I'm going to say thank you and entertain any comments or questions or concerns you might have, if that's all right, Michael. All right. Thanks. Sure. I'm not sure of the format, but I guess they go to the mic. All right, so we're going to the microphones if you have a question.
Thank you very much. I'm Peter Starfson, Department of Pathobiology, and I'll try to make this short because I like what you said about everybody pulling together. But then with us, especially some of the people I've interacted with, I have a supervisor position, and I think some people feel like with the siloing, they have a lot on their plate. I'll say it like this, like too few people have too much to do. And so do you have any, just asking, I'm not trying to be critical, like do you have any ideas like how we smooth that out and get everybody rolling? Because I think some of those people, when you say, don't say no, they get like kind of fidgety, like they're like, not.
Well, there are a lot of great people on this campus, but I don't, to be perfectly frank, I don't think we've been as straightforward with all of our employees as we should be as to what is expected of them, and then link performance to salary and promotion and these things. So we've asked Kelly Schomacher, and Kelly's right here, to take a serious look at human resources that reports up through her and overhauling that division, including all our performance appraisal documents that are widely disliked on campus. So we have heard this, we're sensitive to it, and we've already started the process. But I would say anyone that has ideas, bring them to any one of us, whether it's me, Bobby, Bill, Ron, especially Kelly, because it's her division, and we'll work pretty aggressively on this. Other questions or concerns?
My concern, Senator Economics. So I'm an economist. It's been a long time since I heard someone say we're going to increase efficiency by getting rid of competition. That's of course not in accordance typically. Now maybe you mean something else by competition than I do, but normally, you know, that's not. So could you clarify a little bit what you mean by get rid of competition?
Yeah, I appreciate the question because that needs some clarification. I'm talking about internal competition, like in a family. In my family, I expect my two sons to work together for the common good of the family. You know, if they go compete with someone external for sports or other areas, that's fine, or for a job. But I don't think you should be competing with a support person in your department. I don't think you should necessarily be competing with a faculty member right next to you. I heard a story at one of the faculty lunches where a faculty member was going to write a grant. She didn't really know how to do it. She reached out to a faculty member in another department who helped her, and it turns out the newbie got the grant, the experienced person didn't. That's what I'm talking about collaboration rather than competition. Those two faculty members worked collaboratively, hoping both would get the grant, one did. The more senior person could have said, no, I'm going to be competitive with you, I'm not going to help you. I don't want to see that. That's what I'm trying to make clear.
Okay, because one of the things we talked about when developing the RCM budgeting model, would you just, if I understand you correctly, want to move away from towards more central planning, which is also not something that economists would associate with an enhancement in efficiency. But we were sold on RCM because it would enhance competition between revenue producing units and so forth. It would set the right incentives so that we would have a competitive environment rather than engaging in political machinations to get a bigger allocation from a central planning element. So that's what I'm hearing as well. Is it your intention to move away from RCM budgeting?
It's my intention to overhaul it because, in fact, the thing you don't like and fear is exactly what we're doing under the RCM. So, for example, you can submit a budget to me or the provost that's $20 or $30 million short and expect the Robin Hood type RCM to make you whole through our mission enhancement fund. That's really not the way it should be. We should put more value on research, scholarship, clinical work, so people really have a true budget that they can justify and stand behind. Right now, we're in the situation you're in without some realignments.
Okay. And one other question, you say we're on the move and successes and so forth. I'd be interested in you as president, where you think you have failed thus far and what you would do different.
Well, I don't think I've failed yet, but you know, but you know, you work 7 days a week. I think one time recently Tammy had me scheduled 16 nights in a row. So, but the truth, Michael, is no matter how much you do in this job, there's always more you could do to advance this university. So, you know, would I like to already be an R1? Absolutely. Would I like to hire more faculty? Absolutely. We got an increase from the legislature this year. CJ and I are thrilled, but we'd like it to be bigger. So there's always things you wish you could do more of and do better. But I think by and large, the university is moving in the right direction. Any other questions before we move on to faculty handbook adjustments? All right. Are you all set then, Michael, if I give you back the podium? All right. Thank you, folks.